Yeah.
What is the significance in your mind of Maker choosing an HBCU?
Well, I think it's huge. I think it's huge for maybe different reasons than the masses. And I'll take you back to maybe high school, it seemed like. When you were getting recruited and everyone, back in those days, we used to collect our recruiting mail and our letters, and you just hoped that you were in the local, regional, national publication. And I remember that we used to get the big letters from the big schools, and it'd be a questionnaire. And I used to always say, why would a big school send me a questionnaire? Like, don't they already know about me? So I would lie on it like every other recruit. You know, I would say I was 2/10 faster than I was. I was an inch taller, 20 pounds bigger. And I was like, I hope they buy this. And we used to have this conversation of small schools versus big schools. And I was like, why is everybody going to the same schools? Like, you're a 4-star, you're a 5-star, but you're stuck on the bench at USC playing football when you could have went to a mid-major or a smaller school and been the man. Then all of a sudden you look up Boise State, and you start looking up Texas Tech, and you're like, oh, it's happening. But another conversation was happening at the same time, concurrently. It was the conversation of, how come in basketball and football, which is predominantly black, nobody's going to black schools? And then you would hear some guys talk about the resources. They weren't on the same level, the coaching, the exposure. You would hear all these things. And we would all sit there by campfire, felt like, talking about it, but no one moving on that. I'm just glad that I'm now in a place, even though this is a still qualified moment because he's also in the NBA draft. He gets drafted. He doesn't show up on campus. But still, the first step, it seemed like someone finally said something that I always hold dear to my heart. To do something that lights the torch, not something that just carries the torch. And I like the fact that he is igniting something new.
So let me be clear. They weren't adding a couple inches and taking off a couple tenths in the program, or were they doing that and then you were adding a few more inches and taking off a few more tenths?
A few more. You know me, Slick Rick.
Okay, all right. I wanted to know what the protocol was.
Yes.
Look, it could be huge, but the reality is that as of right now, I don't want to say it means nothing, but it means close to nothing. And I'm going to put my Marcellus Wiley Columbia Lions helmet on and use an analogy here. You guys have you ever watched ants? Have you ever studied ants or watched them?
Oh, yeah.
They send out the scout ants, and they go in a lot of different directions.
My house,
and if a scout ant finds something, then the other ants follow that, and now we got to train, and we're bringing the goods back home.
Wow.
Maker right now is a scout ant.
I respect that.
Wow.
I love the fact, and I can tell you, I already talked to some NBA GMs, black NBA GMs. They love what this potentially could mean for black colleges. But make no mistake, he is a trial test here. He is an NBA talent. People say he's raw. They don't know. He's not like a guaranteed NBA star. The big programs know how to do the one and done. They know how to create a brand. They have the competition for guys to play against to expand their profile. Maker not only has to go there and be successful, he has to be really successful, and then he has to go to the NBA as high or higher than he was projected. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of guys looking at this and saying, would love to support black colleges. But there's a reason that all these guys have been going to UCLA and Kentucky for all these years. And it's not because they don't care about their culture. It's because they're thinking about their future.
Slick Rick, that was very profound, and I actually agree with most of what you just said, but I have to contradict the initial statement. I think it is a huge deal, Makur Maker going to an HBCU, but here is why. Obviously, our nation is in the midst of its greatest turmoil for several reasons: a pandemic of the body and the coronavirus, and a pandemic of the mind and racism. But we have seen historically that sports can do more for a group of people than any individual can necessarily do outside of sports. Go back to Sam Bam Cunningham, playing USC, playing Alabama, and what he did for the integration of football in the South for black people. Now I look at Makur Maker. Right now, athletes across America, they're trying to figure out, what can I do to make change? What can I do to make a difference? You got some guys sitting out, boycotting their sports. You have other guys at campuses trying to remove statues. You have teams and organizations trying to paint Black Lives Matter on the court. You have other organizations playing the Black National Anthem before a game. But what's really going to make a change is trying to actually get your hands dirty. Is trying to go to an HBCU and try to bring in an influx of TV revenue, bring in an influx of money onto that campus. Because the difference between football and basketball, one player can make a difference. I, selfishly, as a football player, I'll be honest, I never would have done it. Howard played Maryland last year, and they lost 79-0. I'm not trying to sit there and get smacked Saturday after Saturday.
Lord.
But Makur Maker, if he goes out there and dominates, if he goes out there and brings in ticket revenue, brings in TV dollars, and starts a trend, like you said, as the scout ant and brings in follow-up ants, I think there can be a ripple effect because he can affect that university. That university can affect the city, affecting the state, and try to bring in an influx of money into a community and a people group that have clearly stated there are problems going on. So I think it is a huge deal for Makur Maker to make that decision and take his talents to an HBCU if, in fact, he does follow through and do that.
Woo, wow, a lot to say here. I'm closer to Slick Rick than I am to you, Big Dog, but I respect this. Let me say this. I did go to a small school. It felt like I made this choice. To me, the line items go academics first. I know that I'm in the minority, but academics first, athletics second, and then social networking, character development is third for me. That's how I look at my school choice. I like this one because he's doing it for his people. Here's one thing, though. If you fail, your people ain't going to save you.
That's facts. That is true.
I'm going to tell you. Because, look, this is what they teach you in lifeguard school, my homeboy said. In lifeguard school, they say 2 people can't drown. What does that mean? Go out there and save that individual. If for whatever reason they're fighting you, the conditions, whatever, you retreat. 2 people can't drown. And that's what's going to happen if he doesn't go out there and succeed. Slick Rick is right. I went to Columbia, I get to NFL, and the one thing I didn't know and I didn't figure that I was missing hit me right in the face my rookie year. I didn't have a fraternity. Like, the last person drafted from an HBCU was 2012. I look around that locker room, and they're looking at me like, yeah, who's your big brother? You don't have one. Nobody else in the Ivy League there. So I had to learn everything basically on my own. Talk about tremendous growing pains. That's not a deterrent. It's just to let him know the road ahead, and hopefully he succeeds.
That's definitely a fact. Go ahead, Slick.
There's a bigger threat, actually, to the major programs. It's called the G League. Yeah. We already have a couple of players. So it's not just the black universities that are trying to get in on this. The G League is as well, and they're offering money. And if I'm getting $1 million coming out of high school, I can certainly do a lot more with that for my community, potentially, than I might if I go to a black college.
Well, I hope Maker can make it work.